shit about America. And then when you get clipped over there in Romania, now you're coming back to daddy. So I need you to acknowledge who the GOAT is. I don't need you talking about the West this and America's dad and the West is falling. Well, why are you coming back to the fall? Like when it got rough and they were locking you.
Welcome to Pegasus versus the World, where we take on challenges, comedy, trending topics, and some travel. City boy! Sheesh. This is a hot take. And I was actually thinking of this because I see a lot of different content online, and I've seen a bunch of Andrew Tate stuff. And I personally, this is a don't shoot the messenger, but I honestly think if you look at the overall messaging of Andrew Tate, Tristan Tate, and some of the red pill stuff, I think overall it is good for men. And the reason men gravitate to it because we're taking ourselves out at a very alarming rate. When you look at the unalive statistics, men versus women and stuff like that, it's actually really alarming. And this is why I think the male youth and men gravitate to some of his stuff, because there's a masculine component that's been taken out of society that men need, that we thrive off of, that makes us good. And the only thing is, with that masculinity, you need discipline and balance, right? This is very crucial. And I think, some of the, what would you call sensationalist things he has said, get represented as the full message. And if you really listen to the full message, there's some really good components in that. With that being said, this was a take that I was thinking, because I've heard some of Andrew Tate's stuff and some of the things he has said about America and why Romania is so great and why he moved out of America. Like, he really did go on a tirade boo-booing on America. Hold on real quick, you guys. Hey, what's up? Can you wait for me to come upstairs, or are you going to use your little scissors?
My scissors.
Okay, if you use them at your table, that's fine.
Okay.
All right? Okay. Cool. All right. Man, dad mode is crazy, but she has these little dull scissors, and we allow her to use those at her arts and crafts table. But anyways, back to this. I thought this take from Andrew Schulz, I was like, oh. The one thing, when people get things incorrect, it is rare that so in this space specifically, there's a lot of, and we're talking about like red pill space and that conversation, manosphere is what they call it. It's like one of the key messages that I agree totally with Andrew Tate, Fresh and Fit, all the villains of the space that people dislike, is accountability. Men should take accountability, and at that, take extreme accountability. And I think it is interesting what Andrew Schulz says here. Now, I'm just going to play this. It's a 6-minute clip. I don't know if we need to play it all, but it's just interesting to hear other people's thoughts on this, especially with what just happened. So if you guys aren't familiar, Andrew Tate has all these cases. Actually, I think they talk about it in here. He's not convicted of anything. It's really weird what is going on. So it's really even hard to address, because it's like all the media and social outlets saying one thing about him, but then all the paperwork says the complete opposite. And now they're trying to do something to him in Florida. So let's see what they say here, and let's rock.
I listened to the first half of Andrew Tate on Patrick Bet-David's podcast.
Yeah, well, how was that?
Andrew,
how you feel about Tate coming back?
Interesting one, dude. He's currently being subpoenaed, investigated, something by the state of Florida.
Yeah.
Just opened up some warrant type thing for him.
Yeah.
I think it's a bit of a brave call from the US to do that at like this time, to be like, yeah, come on over, when we're talking about worries about trafficking and the UK's got lots of concerns about grooming gang. You can say what you want about the validity of the case around Tate.
Yeah.
Optics are optics.
So yeah, you're speaking on something that I really like, which is there are facts, and then there is emotional reactivity. Optics is what you're talking about. And people are emotional. They just react emotionally to whatever they see. And it's important to meet them there. Do you know what I mean? Like, there's going to be an idea of who you are from people who don't really know you. Casuals on the internet that might see a single clip. And that idea that they have, maybe it's wrong, but just going, oh, you're wrong, and writing it off, isn't how you're going to address a bigger problem.
This is where Ben Shapiro gets it 100% backward. He says facts don't care about your feelings.
Yeah.
This one in particular.
Yeah. It's
right.
like,
feelings do not give a single fuck about the facts.
But he's like an autistic robot. Like he doesn't understand. He caught a great grift off like the Christians. And now that he no longer has societal utility, he's like really struggling. Like
he definitely, ever since the Candace Owens thing, you know, I'm not going to dive into it. Ben Shapiro, like I like watching him debate. He makes really good points from time to time, but he kind of fell off the rails, man. Like I'll keep it real. Like he actually showed a lot of disdain for Trump and like Donald Trump hatred. If you watch some of Ben Shapiro's recent videos, he's riding Donald Trump's nuts, like riding his nuts, like woo, reverse cowgirl, reverse cowboy on that ass. Like it's crazy. And I just think it's funny because he showed a lot of disdain and a lot of criticizing. But ever since, anyways, I ain't going to get into that subject, but y'all know what it is.
Societal utility is oftentimes what can make people like really powerful. And he rose to fame at a time where like conservatives felt like really scrutinized just for their beliefs. And a lot of them just didn't have the arguments to defend their positions. Right? They grew up in cities and states where it was normal to be a conservative. And then all of a sudden they're in these other places where like, can I even share this? Can I say I'm a conservative? It's like really radioactive to be conservative. And then all of a sudden he's like this like really obviously smart, Harvard educated arguer. He's like a really good arguer in developing ideas and bits and putting together these arguments. They're like foolproof. And he handed them off to those people. But now being conservative is more popular,
super mainstream,
than being Democratic.
This was the point I was saying earlier on about.
Though honestly, it's funny he said that because those debates with Ben Shapiro, Charlie Kirk, Candace Owens, I feel like even the Brandon Tatums of the world, sometimes the Hodge twins as well, they're not really argumentative debaters, but all these people have made, you know, their hard work has made conservatism a lot more popular than it was in the past. It's really interesting to see this shift in America currently.
You know, you can speak truth to power and be that sort of. It was almost like rock starry, like kind of like rebellious, anarchistic type thing. It's like it's just the kind of position that most people hold now around a lot of the. Yeah, we probably should be careful about what we're doing to teenagers. Hormones. We should probably be a little bit concerned about.
So now that it's the norm, he no longer has the same societal utility.
That's interesting.
And then Israel-Palestine happens. And now the base doesn't agree with him. And now they're like, well, we don't need you for the arguments. It's like normal to be conservative now. It's like, if anything, Democrats need the arguments, right? So now they're like, and we don't agree with you on the Israel-Palestine thing? Man, the fuck out of here.
But yeah, I mean, when you think about
So he caught a good grift, but, you know, the grifts only last for so long.
What'd you make of the Tate thing, him coming back?
I mean, he's an American citizen. You have to protect American citizens. And just because he hasn't been convicted of anything, he hasn't been convicted of anything, he's an American citizen. We have to protect our citizens. And you're allowed to say whatever you want as an American. This is free speech. We believe in all those things. So, like, there's no question whether you have to let an American back. Of course you have to let an American back. Now, the emotional reaction is you were talking crazy shit about America. And then when you get clipped over there in Romania, now you're coming back to daddy. So I need you to acknowledge who the GOAT is. I don't need you talking about the West this and America's dad and the West is falling. Well, why are you coming back to the fall? Like when it got rough and they were locking you and your brother up, probably wrongfully, I don't know, he's not convicted. Like if there was enough to convict, they would have convicted, right? But you came running back. So I need you to at least acknowledge why you came running back.
There's definitely an amount of irony around saying,
because it's the best.
I love Romania. Why did you move to Romania when you first moved to Romania? I love Romania because it's corrupt. You can pay the police off. The laws basically don't exist and you can get anything done you want. And then 5 years later, 3 seconds later, it being like, this country's so corrupt and the police don't really seem to care. It's like,
This is exactly what I saw. I've never, talked about this because, this is like a subject, but I thought this early on because Tate was saying all this stuff about Romania and and you can pay people off. And there's also this channel I follow called the Nomad Capitalist. And his whole slogan is, go to places that treat you best. Go to where you're wanted. They represent people who make 7 figures or more, right? Which I'm not in that category. But, and they help people change their citizenship, get passports, so they can live in places where the tax code isn't crazy, etc. And this coincides with some of this Tate stuff. I always thought to myself, because everyone, when 2020 happened and all this stuff was happening in America, people were like, get out of America. They're like, get out now while you still can. And my mind frame was always this. If everyone took up that ideology and no one stands up and fights for the good, then what you're running from will eventually overtake everywhere, right? America's the only real representation of, and I get it, man, there's warmongers, there's a lot of blah, blah, but the representation of freedom that we do have, like it's limited. Like we see in Europe, some of the speech laws coming, and some of those speech laws are coming to America. They're trying to do that to college kids for protesting the stuff going on in the Middle East. That's not American. Censoring them for their beliefs, even if you don't believe in it, it's still not American. Like free speech for real, you know. But in Europe, there's a lot of free speech stuff going on. You know how it is in China and Russia. They ain't messing around. You know, it's just interesting when you see like, yo, if you run from it, then how is there going to be change in the world? Like when America's like a lot of the times the people follow what America does in a lot of regards, whether people want to admit that. Now we might fall off. We're at a pivotal positioning in time and history. We might fall off. If it happens, it happens. But I do think it's interesting Tate's take on that, because the moment he started saying this stuff, I was like, yo, why would you, like, it's corrupt everywhere. You know, just say like, hey, women are more traditional in Romania. Oh, my business can thrive better there. But like saying Romania is less corrupt than America is absolute crazy talk, in my opinion. America's corrupt, but everywhere's corrupt. And I would argue the places that have the less money could potentially be more corrupt. And if you're not from there and you don't have the connections, then yeah, you're going to be SOL. But in America, where you actually know people and can move and shake, and you know what I'm saying, obvious you're going to have so I don't know, but I think his take, haven't heard anyone have a take like this, and this is why I highlighted it. I saw this clip, but I wanted to go over it and talk with y'all, because I was like, yo, this is a really good take, in my opinion, because I was like, yeah, that is wild, you know?
Roosting.
That's the thing. I think that's the thing right there. Like, obviously he's a phenomenal communicator, and he understands culture. He understands like trends that are popping up. I'm not talking about like a trend like wearing fucking clothing. I'm talking about like ideological and emotional trends, like what people
taps into what people are feeling.
He can fucking tap in. There's no question. Mm-hmm. But there is a part of me that is like, you talk crazy shit about America, and now you're coming back because you got in trouble. I need to know, like, everybody, a lot of people gave Brittany Griner shit when she got arrested in Russia, right? They gave her a lot of shit for like kneeling for the anthem and then asking America to help her to get back. Where's the Brittany Griner treatment?
I feel that, but Brittany Griner never took accountability. She never took she never redacted what she said about America. And so I do think that is interesting, because I think where he's like saying, where's the Brittany Griner? I think Tate's getting that treatment. A ton of people hate him, and a ton of people are saying similar things. So I think he is getting that treatment. Now, will he take the road of accountability and be like, yo, I saw it this way, or maybe even explain it, right? To that degree, because ironically now America is treating him like Romania. So maybe he did have a point. Like, he just touched down and they, what I would say, illegally confiscated all his electronics, trying to pin something to him. So anyway,
where's this Brittany Griner energy? Now, people are emotional, so it doesn't really matter. They're like, I can look past that because he's satisfying these other concerns that I have emotionally, and he's voicing it in the most eloquent way, and he really makes me feel seen and heard. So they'll look past this other shit. But to me, I'm looking at this Brittany Griner. Now, I want Brittany back. You know, should she have had the weed in her fucking thing? No, don't bring fucking a weed pen into Russia. Mm-hmm. You know that they might try to use this as for some political leverage in this situation that we're in. It's annoying. You shouldn't have fucking done it. And you put America in a position where we got to give you back the Nicolas Cage guy from the movie, right?
Yeah, like a war criminal or like a weapons arms dealer, something crazy. Like, it's crazy. We got a freaking WNBA player back for a logistically that's wild.
We had to give you Nicolas Cage back to get Brittany Griner, right? But at the end of the day, she's an American, and if American gets clipped, we're gonna ride for our boys, our girls.
Yep.
Yeah.
Traveling should be.
Yo, let's go. Anyways, that was I thought he had a good take on it. I'm interested to see how things play out. Again, I don't have nothing against Tate. I still think if you listen to the overall messaging that he presents, there's a lot of good in there, and I think it gets thrown out with some of the sensationalist things he has done and said in his past. However you want to take that, you take it for what it's worth. For people that jump in the comments and be like, he's the R word, he's trafficking, all this stuff. I'm like, prove it. You've had 3 years to prove it. He's been in jail and they don't even have evidence. So my thing is like I agree if they have proof, but they don't. And that's why he's not convicted. And, when you start looking online, trying to look up any issues with, I don't even think he has any convictions for anything. Like that's actually what kind of blew my mind recently, where I'm like, damn, it's hard. Like I see this huge wave of people that are just like, he's a R word, he's, trafficking people, he's this, that, and the other. And to have nothing on your record is crazy. And he just rose to stardom and popularity. He has not been popular his whole life in the sense of people would say, well, it's easy if you have money to blah, 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 but he hasn't had money his whole life. He hasn't been a rich boy forever. He doesn't come from money. So I just think some of those takes are interesting. Again, I'm kind of just viewing it from the sidelines, seeing how things play out. But I did hear Andrew Tate say everything that they said on this podcast. Him say about America and really diss America. It's the fall of the West and Western civilization is done. So I was actually surprised he came back to the West. I thought he'd go to Dubai personally. So when he said that, I was like, oh, I got to talk about this because that's an interesting take. And only Andrew Schulz, man, he has a really unique perspective. And I feel like he tries to get at everyone, the Republicans and the Democrats. And I like that. I like that because it makes me think and process things a little bit differently. Anyways, let me know what I got, what I missed. What do y'all think in the comments? Lego.
City boy, city boy.